Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Game number 2 already here between Vega Squadron and Gambit Esports. We came in halfway through game number 1, and it didn't look all too good but for Vega. We'll see whether they can pull it out and stave off defeat. Time.
Also worth noting that halfway through the game meant 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
That's how quickly the game was over. Vega Squadron, you know, as somebody who is friends with their coach, and you know, we're both all right. Gibbs is an awesome person. As somebody who likes the team, obviously, because of that, and just has been following the team also since then. This team has been really awful since like for a while now.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they've gone through roster changes recently, right? They've just not been finding their own rhythm. They've not been really finding the groove to actually just find a couple of wins and just build a bit of momentum. They've looked promising here and there, don't get me wrong, and I do think there was like a couple of really strong sort of performances in a couple of other qualifiers. I think even we counted some of those games as well.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, like in the grand scheme of things, they're just not up to snuff in comparison. And I mean, even like that game just now that we witnessed was straight up awful.
Yeah.
We looked at the damage as well. Apparently Luna only dealt like 420, 430 hero damage?
486, I believe, was the number, right?
Sorry.
0-0-0 scoreline, 486 hero damage. And Axe Eclipse, we saw the one usage that had was completely tanked up, barely enough to kill a siege creep, so it was very unfortunate to say the very least, I guess. But well, new game, new luck perhaps, Undying Rubik, but they go back for the Brewmaster. They also had some issues with that, couldn't really make good use of the brew split from what we've seen. So how do you think Gambit will be able to respond to that this game?
I mean, the laning stage already looks, in my opinion, a little bit more promising with the Undying. I'm not that big fan of a Rubik these days. I mean, we've seen, I don't know how many Rubiks we've seen in the past couple of days, but how many of those have actually won? Right? It always feels like the Rubik is almost too passive in a way. We can't just be really aggressive enough. He can't really trade kills efficiently if they do get initiated on. He can't just roam around, just set up kills as easily as other heroes. And he just doesn't provide enough in the mid game without, you know, relying on certain mobility items. And in that sense, I just feel like the hero is currently just too weak and just pales in comparison to other heroes, right? We have the Shadow Shaman Bane. Yeah, they had the Shadow Shaman and Rubik combo last game, but that's just not a good combo, right? Shadow Shaman and Bane, there's so many disabled, so many ways of sort of like dealing with certain heroes in the laning stage as well. I don't know. I do think the Undying Brewmaster, if that is how they choose to lane it in the offlane, I think that's a very potent offlane, very annoying to deal with, and could potentially draw both supports down there to create space in the other lanes. But generally speaking, again, I'm not that big of a fan of a Rubik, even though there are a couple of really good spells to steal, right? The Fiend Scrib, the Hex, the Shackles, even the Purification or the Repel, or I mean, again, there's tons of good spells to steal. I just feel like for the laning stage, it might just be too passive.
Speaking of passive, there's Medusa. Also kind of wants to sit around, do her thing, farm up, not just lane, but also eventually the jungle if she gets forced out. And, well, Gambit Esports also with a bit of a soft counter, I guess. More or less soft here, considering how core Diffuse Blade is on the Phantom Lance and how quickly you can burn through mana. I mean, Medusa is gonna have that ultimate to protect herself, but only once and only if there's no lockdown. So in that sense, I do like this this pick from Gambit.
5 seconds remaining.
Especially as I said, since they've kind of limited help available for them. Rubik can only do so much. Undying is gonna be the big one if you can get a few clutch heals off. On perhaps the Brewmaster just to by virtue of winning team fights in itself, or throughout this unique skill set on the Primal split. But outside of that, what's the solution to Phantom Lancer really? They have Split Shot, I guess. Might be one of these games where you won't even get the Split Shot talent, even get to a point, but it's you keep making new illusions anywhere in the Phantom Lancer, so it's very different compared to other illusion heroes in that regard. Oh. If he gets off the ground, like, what does Vega do?
Up until the 30-minute mark, roughly, that's where usually you see, like, you know, him tanking up with, like, Scotty and Hard, or Scotty or Hard, rather. You do have the Brewmaster still. Brewmaster Ultimate, of course, you know, the Storm Brewing has the... I'm actually not sure what it's called. It's just called Dispel? Dispel?
I think it's called Dispel.
I think it's just called Dispel, which, of course, does deal damage to those summoned illusions, to those illusions. So that's a really reliable way of clearing them if you do ever initiate onto him. But of course, you know, you do have a point, you know, in sustained fights, it's really difficult to deal with the illusions, especially in the late game, of course. And in a lot of ways, Dusa and Phantom Lancer are in a love-hate relationship. Dusa, to a certain degree, can deal with his illusions.
Yeah.
But at a certain stage, the Phantom Lich just can spiral out of control and just can solo kill the Dusa even. Because Dusa cannot deal with all the illusions at once.
Yep.
So this is definitely a concern going forward. And I do think that Vega need a mid-hero right now that can really just alleviate a lot of the pressure and just can kill with the rest of Vega squadron. Because if you pick a Dusa, you have to make the Dusa your win condition. And part of that win condition has to be to create space for her, of course. And you need something that ideally deals with those illusions. Maybe something like the Queen of Pain, even though it is quite susceptible, of course, to the Shadow Shaman Bane combo, right? There's a lot of like disables, and there's also quite a bit of damage there. But something along those lines could definitely really work well here. You know, have a little bit of mid-game aggression with the Brewmaster together. But one big thing that I don't like about the Queen of Pain here is that they would have two heroes that are somewhat ultimate reliant, you know, with the Sonic Wave and the Brewmaster split. So we'll see about that, I suppose.
Maybe an alternative would be something like an OD. Like you also have easy way or better ways to clear through these illusions in these earlier fights, and Queen of Pain actually being taken away by Gambit. So also not the worst for them, honestly. I mean, you do have that extra mid-game power. You already have the control to work with. So that kind of fills these boxes that Gambit were looking for too, just to create the space for Phantom Lancer to either come in and sweep up a couple of kills himself after Queen of Pain has already done the majority of the damage, or alternatively just farm and push on the other side of the map.
Dragon Knight.
You may now select
Vega
your
Squadron,
heroes.
going back for the DKs, adding a bit of push, bit of tankiness, and a decent amount of damage outputs.
I
But
am not
I'm not
too
so
big.
sure,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not too big of a fan of the DK. It does, again, it does give them some tower push, which I don't think that Gambit can really contest these tower pushes that well early on because the Phantom Lancer doesn't want to be part of those fights, and Queen of Pain, it's not that easy to really contest like a Tombstone DK kind of like push, right? So in that regard, Vega Squadron do have very reliable push that pretty much always should secure a tower, but in a way, I also think that it's very difficult for Vega to fight into Gambit if they ever do try and force a fight. Like, before like 20 minutes, it's really going to be difficult. They really are reliant on that Brewmaster to have a good game, I think. And I mean, they are set up to give him that good game, and I do like this lineup much more than I do like than the previous lineup they had. You know, with the Lycan and the Luna, I thought that was potentially just too all in really in one direction. This feels a little bit more well balanced, but depending on how aggressive Gambit decide to play the laning stage, especially in the two supports, could backfire here as well because again they are a little bit passive in that laning stage scenario. But again, as I mentioned, there is also potential for Vega to be a little bit aggressive with the Undying Brewmaster. I'm not sure if they're going to go that route, though. I feel like the Undying is likely going to just secure mid lane, most likely, to make sure that they get a good start there, depending on whether or not they're going to have the DK. Although it is most likely going to be the DK.
Yeah, I don't think you want to run away from that. I've taken some time. Is this pause or what's happening? Yeah. Are they really smoking right now? Come on, Gambit. Come on.
I mean, players do go smoking during the draft, but yeah, that is...
It's, yeah, he's back now, but looks good. Picked up the Yoni Knight.
anything for guess who.
Who's that again? I think...
Daxak.
Daxak, I believe, yeah.
I really have a hard time pronouncing those players correctly.
Yeah,
so for anybody,
Cheshire Cat, I know that much.
Yeah. So for anybody, you know,
this is Bignum on Shadow Shaman. It's like, thing is, without a ticket, I do believe the teams have been told, or the players have been told to just, hey, go pick up your proper names for the casters and whatnot to make it a little bit easier, but they're under no obligation to do so. And well, that just means that they're not going to be known for their deeds in these games, right? It's like we us casters have too much on our plate without having to remember a completely different set of names every single time.
Well, I think if anything, this should serve as an appeal to Valve to just implement a system where even if there is no ticket available, that people can just use their esports tags. Yeah. I feel like that shouldn't be that big of an issue.
Or just approve tickets more quickly. I mean, what's the deal really? It's not like ESL is some rando.
See, the thing is, in that regard, we don't know what's the actual holdup is, right? For all we know, maybe there's something that ESL technically didn't do correctly or whatever.
Prepare for battle.
In that regard, you know, all right,
maybe.
whatever. But it should definitely be possible for Valve to implement the system, like just to, all right, everybody here in this lobby will have their esports name displayed.
Yep. Well, we're not quite there yet. Of course, the game is still in beta. Just have to develop the technology a little bit more to make that happen, but for now, it is Gambit up on the dire side. Iceberg leading charge here, gonna pick himself up a bounty rune. On the other side, we do have Vega squadron. Again, they've been struggling a little bit, trying out some new players to try and fix these issues that they've been having. Maybe this is the game where it starts to turn things around. They definitely have to if they want to stick around here in the ESL One qualifiers. And
this, again, I do think this is a lineup that it's sort of worth having more confidence in. The Deuce is also a very telling pick, you know. Picking a Deuce in this kind of game is knowing that you're facing an elimination and just knowing that you have a sort of like a something to fall back on. If things go badly, you still have the Deuce. And if things go well, then you also still have the Deuce.
Hashtag expert analysis right there. Yeah. And yeah, they're making sure that they can secure this top rune, hanging around with the Undying. You really don't want to fight into that.
I'll take that.
DK is so obnoxious in the first couple of levels, and it's one of these spells that's very unique in the sense that the more heroes you throw at it, the better it becomes. So just have to kind of take it on the chin and try to avoid it as much as you can.
So it looks like they are going to have the Brewmaster together with the Undying top here. Makes a lot of sense because, again, this is a very annoying and very strong combo. But as I say that, you know, they're still doing the old offlane, not really old, but the established, I'll just pull the creep wave offlane thing.
Yeah. It's more often these days, yeah, well, as soon as you realize, hey, there's nothing actually they can do about it. I mean, Bane technically could have gone for the Nightmare for just only one hero, but the fact that there were two at the time made that impossible or infeasible anyway.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why Bane is very popular, to be able to deny all of that. It used to be a counter to just the Lundred. You know, at the time, Lundred was pretty much the only hero that would do this. But now these days, you know, more and more people do it. But like you said, you know, with the Nightmare, you can technically deny it. But of course, that's why they had the Undying there in the first place, so that the Bane can't deny it.
Now, he made his way all the way down bottom to just try and zone out those Omni Knight as well as he can. He's up to level 2 already, so Legion Aura plus the Purification being skilled up. And look at Medusa farming all the way behind the tier 1 tower for the time being.
Top tower is under attack.
Alright, big old creep wave, so should be decent enough farm for Medusa here. Even with the Omni Knights being wanting to be annoying.
This mid lane is going really well for Radiant. Green Pain is not lasting quite as well as this DK.
Yeah. It's very hard with the Brief Fire Spam, right? I mean, it takes away from your base damage in percentage fashion, I believe. You had 25% damage reduction. So, it is quite significant, especially at this early stage. And you also don't have to deal with timing projectiles, at least not as much. You just have the animation.
And DK also just, you know, he doesn't necessarily mind all the harassment coming out from the Queen of Pain or the Shadow Shaman, really.
Yeah.
And he can just tank creep hits, whereas Queen of Pain doesn't really want to tank those too much, and they even share the burden with the Shadow Shaman, making sure that they would take turns tanking those creeps. So yeah, a lot of things going the DK's way, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point the Rubik even left this lane as soon as he sees that the Shadow Shaman has also made the first rotation. Because as much as you want to deny this Queen of Pain this amount of farm, you also don't want to, you know, deny your own DK the experience.
Yep.
Yes, you can sort of make up for it by just denying aggressively. Oh.
Shadow Shaman picked himself up in the industry. We're finally going for the Shackles here. That was about to expire, and the Undying was tanking up the creep wave. And that's enough damage with the Ether Shock. Alright. Zap. Just on the last moment, so just making it tense for the viewers.
I'll take it back. Didn't really think he would get in range for that. I honestly looked like he shouldn't have been in range, but no, I guess he still got it.
It's a hell of a spell.
And you can see, you know, now that they saw the Shadow Shaman, Rubik immediately goes down here. Because he knows there's no point in him staying mid lane anymore, and he has to contest this lane together with the rest of his team.
Basically just need to match a Shadow Shaman, right?
Effectively, yes.
Alright, so what does this leave for Blizzy on the other side? He's on level 2 on his Brewmaster, left alone. Like, he's been dealing a lot with the Bane, just trying to trade, and it's alright here with the Drunken Haze, with the Drunken Brawler as well. But they've been trading all the way down here where Bane's standing right now, far, far away from the creep wave, so even what little creeps are not denied, he can't even get the experience of that.
Shouldn't be a kill, but it is good harassment. As I say that though, again, DK very sustainable,
Yeah, he's
and
fine.
honestly, it's almost hurt the Dire more so than it actually hurt the DK.
Yeah.
He still has a Salve in his pocket. He has a Soul Ringer, of course, so he doesn't really need mana anyway, and or he's always going to have mana, and he has 2 levels in Dragon Blood. That's so much regeneration.
Yeah. Not sure you needed to pop the salve even there. You could have easily held onto it.
Mid lane.
Trying to dive here. Yeah, Queen of Pain's super low, and that was the reason. Making sure that you are topped up when you're diving the tower. That was very questionable there from Iceberg to just stick around for that long.
Yeah, playing a little bit greedy. Especially since I believe they should have seen the Rubik, or was he smoked up? I'm not sure if he was smoked up or not. I don't think so either. So they feel like they should have. I mean, they definitely should have seen it because he ran past the ward.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely understand why you don't want to give up that kind of a creep wave, especially behind your tower. It's not often that you see these kind of rotations, but it did cost him dearly at that moment.
Speaking of bottom lane, Omni Knight, no mana at the moment.
Yeah.
He does have a Mango. Didn't go for the lift. I guess he knew that, you know, with the Mango was a futile or potentially futile attempt anyway.
I mean, he needed some extra slows and it just didn't have that.
I guess the Deuce also wasn't really in range, so
Yeah.
difficult. But yeah, back to this top lane that you talked about earlier, right? The Bane, one of the better laning, sort of like zoning heroes, because Bane trades really well. Not only because of Brain Stat, but also because he as a hero generally just has really good stats growth. Pretty much the best stats growth out of any support. He's like, what?
2.4 each?
I
Apparently.
think so, yeah.
I don't know how that compares just additively. I know that obviously there's a couple of heroes that have better stat gain than these individual stats. But he's getting 7.2 stats per level. Not sure how that compares.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's not the craziest thing in the world. I think Brewmaster even has more than that.
Well, yeah, obviously, you know, obviously, like a core has more than that, but
yeah.
you know, for support, it's just really strong. It just makes it really difficult to trade efficiently, even just in terms of right click. I mean, look at
also change to Nightmare. Yeah, you can just right click away, and Secret Bound runes like that. The right clicking up against Brewmaster is not always as reliable, of course. But now
it's gonna cut out in the river. He's super low.
Legion R coming in, trying to deny himself to the Ancient. That's a big old stack, so that makes it very easy indeed.
He does reveal the stack now, though. Which, not that the Dire could actually contest it at the moment, but, you know, it does reveal it.
Might want to pick up a ward there later, but now double damage here picked up by Iceberg. The supports continue the rotation with the Shackles and the Dragon Knight. And that's something that the 2.7 Dragon Blood cannot save you from.
Top tower is under attack.
Oh, Brewmaster top lane gets hunted down. Get lanced down, I guess.
All of a sudden kills all over the map. Bad Roses next to the lift perhaps here, gets the lift up on the Bane, drags him right back to the Phantom Lances, so guess who will be slowed down. And Lizzie coming back to retake the lane.
As the lanes are, I do think this is going pretty well for the Radiant. Yeah, the Phantom Lancer has uncontested farm and he's technically leading the net with charge. But aside from the kill, you know, DK is doing really well in this mid lane. He's definitely dominating against the Queen of Pain. And then also have the Dusa, who's also uncontested, pretty much. So if you're Radiant, you're totally fine with this. The Brewmaster is a little bit of a concern because he's not really getting anything. He might just die again, actually. Looks very low.
Barely level 4 and with no rotation coming in this time. He'll be a very easy target here for the Phantom Lance up to level 4 Spirit Lance now. It's a good amount of nuked damage on top of the 2.7 Brain Stab. It's very hard for him to survive here without having that ultimate to fall back on.
And even if their supports rotate, it's very difficult to sort of keep him alive. Yeah, you have Soul Rip, but you know, there's a lot of like high burst damage with the Phantom Lance with the Brain Stab.
Yeah,
it's really difficult to like rotate on time. Mid lane looks like both teams are trying to do something here. Omni Knight does see the. I think he did see the Rubik. He's gonna walk into the Undying now.
Oh, Shackles cancel immediately here, rethinking the strategy. With the Rubik revealing what's been able to cancel it anyway. So, Gambit first one to blink here, literally and figuratively.
With his Dragon Form popped, he obviously tried to go for a counter kill here. But at the very least, he's going to apply pressure to this tower, getting it low.
Yep.
Top lane, Iceberg with a rotation. Looks like they want to go for the Brewmaster yet again. They do the Sonic Wave. And that should be a kill.
There's no... Okay, yeah, they get close enough. The Phantom Lance are grabbing that despite lacking a mana from the Spirit Lance, even with the with Magic Wand wouldn't have been enough. But yeah, back in mid, stun up on the Shadow Shaman Nightmare just to help out a little bit in case he needed it. But Shackles still coming through. He has his normal lockdown. They just zap him down. Perfect ranked system with another kill on his belt. Tombstone is kind of just not sure about this one. Does make sure the Dragon Knight can come in for the kill, but Undying falls. Dragon Knight's not on the wood yet either. I mean, they don't have the shackles, but they will have another brain zap, another couple of right clicks. But Rubik also taking over, running interference. Big ol' zap, almost even killing the Omni Knight. Also heal out on himself, so they do keep him alive this time.
This was not really a great exchange here for the Radiant, I don't think. Yeah, you get a couple of kills for the DK, but at the, you know, at the same time they also lose the Korea. The Queen of Pain gets the kill in the backline on the Undying as well. So right now they're sort of getting a little bit more, but at the same time, you know, this is time for the Medusa, and you'll definitely hear me say this a lot. This is space and time for the Medusa, and this is literally all they have to do.
It's really valid to say. I mean, every Medusa game has this. You have to talk about this because that's really what it revolves around. As long as Medusa farms, nothing's really lost. And Medusa's sitting at 4.9k net worth right now, not too far away from the Dragon Knight even. So Phantom Lance is still eclipsing that.
And he has a finished Diffusal Blade coming up as well.
Yeah. That could be a good timing here. That Medusa doesn't quite hit something like that, right? Where you just say, alright, you get this one item, all of a sudden your damage output just multiplies significantly.
I wouldn't be surprised if they even smoked up together with the Shadow Shaman towards the bottom lane. Yep, as I say that, they TP to the tier 2, and they're going to smoke up together. This is the perfect time. With the Diffusal Blade, they have so much kill. Like, this is the highest kill potential they have for the Medusa right now, because this is the peak time for the Phantom Lancer. But the question is, are they going to find it? They have 2 aggressive wards, or they had 2 aggressive wards from the Dire side, or from the Radiant side, so sort of like scouting out the rotations. And the Medusa kind of anticipating this gank, because she's falling back into the jungle, right? Yeah. They're still going to hunt her, but maybe they're going to miss her.
This is a very common spot as well, right? Yeah. Because you can farm both these camps very easily with split shots. So they're wrapping more towards mid though instead.
They saw her. They saw her.
Yeah, alright, there you go.
This should be a kill. They have to lead with the Shadow Shaman though.
No ultimate skill just yet, and I think he's holding a value point even.
That was
no, never mind.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Smoke rotation wasted. They might be able to potentially fight around the tier 1. Yeah, they're gonna. Oh, alright, never mind. They're gonna go for the bottom one. So they're gonna go for the bottom tier 1.
Don't quite have the Shadow Shaman wards to make that easy, but if it's only the Rubik here, they'll be able to run him down. Also have a creep wave here to take the tower a little bit, and yeah. Shouldn't be too hard to bully that down. The question is, what's the trade-off here? Medusa continuing to farm, this time a little bit in a bit of a safer part of the jungle. Here on the other side of the map.
You could tell, like, the moment they knew they were going to go bottom, DK immediately just pushed out top. Like, he started spamming top, because this has to be the trade-off. I'm not sure if it's going to work, though, because the Queen of Pain is here. And yeah, they're going to start watching the DK.
Give another DD rune? Yeah, he has. With Cheshire can also make a rotation here on the Omni Knight. They'll force that away, get rid of the catapult immediately, and they still get the tier 1 bottom. Even without the
tier 1 mid, though.
Themselves.
Also got the tier 1 mid, though, to do so.
And that too, alright. So still a 1-for-1 trade, I guess. And fight breaks out up top. Rubik in a lot of trouble. Gets brought down. Punch the captain for later. Tombstone up on the high ground, but he just being featured.
Extra gold now. See, they even fly the career on top of it.
Career here. Yeah. So randomly.
Just to make sure that they get vision over the Tombstone as well.
Yeah.
This is not good. They lose 2 supports, and with that, it just allows them to go for this tower push now. Bottom lane. I'm not sure they're really going to get it, but they're going to, you know, force a rotation, deal a little bit of chip damage. Actually, are they going to go for this kill? Oh, the Primal Split is coming out in the backline. Oh, this could be a kill on the Phantom Lance.
That could be indeed. The Doppelganger on level 1. That's going to be off cooldown for a while. And another stun connecting. Yeah, that's a really good big pick-off. Especially since they're also going to get the Shadow Shaman on top. So this is what that's more like it from the blue side. Yeah, you hit level 6, you hit level 7, right? You have that ultimate. You start getting some kills, just like that.
This was pretty good for the Radiant, especially since they gave one of the kills to the Medusa as well. Buys her a lot more time, and suddenly she's the head of the net worth. Yep. You know, imagine how much differently this game would have been if she gets caught out in that one gank from the Phantom Lancer.
Yeah.
Right? This is a totally different game, but just because she avoids that gank, she is now at the top of the net worth. And the Phantom Lance is sort of falling behind because he has to apply pressure. Like, they cannot... as much as you might have an answer to the Dusa later stages of the game, you can't just give her a free game like this.
Yep.
You have to apply pressure on all lanes, ideally, and you want to take as many towers as you can. You know, mid tier 1, bottom tier 2, just to deny access to the jungle and gain access to the jungle yourself. But unfortunately, their lineup outside of the Shadow Shaman wards, they don't really take towers that reliably.
Well, these wards are going to be coming off cooldown in 25 seconds, and not quite in time for this particular push. Still going to try to finish this tier 1 tower regardless, just with pure muscle power. Meanwhile, though, Shadow Shaman fights his Shackles up on high ground. Easy blink from Iceberg. Rubik just being dispatched. Very efficiently indeed. Decay completely out of mana.
Yeah, and they will have to let this go. Oh, are they going to dive this? A Tombstone?
Certainly not, no. It's just posturing, really.
Is under attack.
Zoning them away from tier 1 as much as they can. Is maybe baiting on a few spells here and there.
Not committing the wards just yet. I guess they might just be... They might just want to use them for a potential kill. Nope, never mind. Just kidding.
Should really secure the tower. Blizzy coming through, though, without his ultimate. All you can really do is just walk back. Another TP has to be cancelled? This is...
There's no way Rubik
a bit
can
sloppy
TP.
there, yeah.
I'm not even sure why the Radiant are poshing themselves here. With the wards dropped, there's no way they can contest the tower because Brewmaster Split is still in cooldown.
Yeah.
And this is why the Dire was pushing in the first place. They knew if Brewmaster Split was still down, there's no way for the Radiant to really commit to this fight. And I think, you know, the Radiant, they should have just tried to just split push, honestly. Just farm the Deuce up in the jungle, something, push out the top wave, maybe force out a TP to the top lane, right? But instead, they were just sitting there watching their own tower fall. Yeah, and they can't even... I guess they're now applying pressure to the top lane. But the Omni Knight is already here. And I believe the Queen of Pain does have a TP, yeah. She does have it.
Yeah. In the backpack, though, so it's going to be a bit of a reaction delay. In case Iceberg is needed very quickly. Meanwhile, he's going to run into the smoke here. Red Roses finds the lift. Where's the follow-up? Like, it's just not there.
Thing is, they were trying to smoke out for the bottom lane. They didn't. I don't think they really expected the Queen of Pain here.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate because this is pretty much the one hero they can't kill with their combo right now because they can't lock her down long enough.
Yeah.
DK's TPing in the middle of it. He has Blink.
Blink up to the high ground here, and that's more like it.
A
lot more stun duration. Now the Sniper just keep him away, but that's being taken over by the Undying. So Bane next on the list. Make it a double. Well, 2 kills at the very least here for Vega Squadron.
And, you know, once again, space, time for the Medusa.
Yep. Also chipped away quite nicely here on his lead that that Gambit had built themselves. It was at 4k gold at one point. Now all but reduced towards that 0 line. Experience even, they claimed the advantage there. About 2-3k in their favor now. And so, when's the tipping point here? When does Medusa decide, hey, I'm super strong, you can't deal with me anymore?
Scotty. She needs the Scotty. Any other item beforehand is just to build up towards the Scotty. Before the Scotty, she can't really fight because she's really squishy still, and the mana burn is really going to hurt. Even with the Scotty, it's still really very difficult to fight into the Phantom Lancer, but before that, I don't think she really should really be part of the fight, unless you know you're going to win it anyway. Oh, Undying. Very strong positioning. This is so good from Seema. He's... back in Vega Squadron, when he played with Solo, like a couple of years ago, I thought there was like a period where those two were the strongest supports in the world at that time. Just because their positioning, the way they read the game was so strong. I just showed there. Like he knows he just needs to sit behind the Dusa, just make sure that he tanks the gank. I mean, I called it in the other game, right? Where they didn't do that, Whites against Na'Vi, where they just didn't sit around the Dusa. It's literally all you have to do.
I just sit behind the Dusa in front just to make sure that these ganks are diverted one way or the other. That's what they're doing right now. And it's got a blink shown off by Blizzy. Doesn't even have to use the ultimate here. But, well, Omni Knight's a bit of a different story. Still gets control up. Doesn't have the repel available for himself. So that Guardian Angel ultimately wasted. Desperate attempt to keep himself alive.
I don't know what that was. There's no way he was going to get out of there. I think maybe he tried to force or bait the Brewmaster ultimate, but it was a very futile attempt, I think. And this kill and the other one before the Undying, tanking the gank on the Dusa just comes down to vision. Like the Vega squad right now just has superior vision. Yep. They have vision in key parts of the map where they know the rotations are gonna come and where they, you know, are going to be and ideally want to fight. Now they have one around the tier 1.
Dire's structures are
I guess around the secret shop. So if somebody comes to contest this tower, or even comes to contest the tier 2, they know it's when they're coming.
Yeah.
So Vega Squadron just superior vision at the moment.
Making good use of that here, claiming another tier 1. Same time up top, Gambit. They're not too phased here.
Oh, they're looking up. They want to fight Vega. They're smoking up behind the tier 2. They have a blink on the Brewmaster as well.
Radiant's top
Shouldn't
tower
have
is
earlier,
under
but
attack.
with Blue still available, they have a way to
the
fight us. He gets silenced up! Brought down immediately with the Sonic Wave, even committed. Rubik can't steal that perhaps. Yeah, he has it. He got the Sonic Wave to perhaps turn things around, but with the ultimate committed on the Medusa, Gambit has to wait that out first, and now Roses, right click down. Iceberg wants to repair his mistake there, not being able to cast another spell, but as it stands for the time being. You have to be very careful about dying past that tier 2
Bottom
tower.
lane, the DK is pushing in. It forces the TP back. Cannot afford to have the DK push in like that.
Yeah.
They do know where he is, and she does blink in, but can they really slow him down long enough for this pursuit?
I think so, yeah, I guess so. He's pretty damn fast. He's gonna get a range
Body
from
block.
Rush. Body blocks even to make that happen. Now the slow from the Fusel Blade, slow from that Spirit Lance. Out of mana, out of life in just a moment.
That quick silence on the Queen of Pain.
Yeah.
This could have been such a disastrous fight for them with the Brewmaster split, but denying that, I mean, they were so ready for this.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't have the vision, they knew this was going to happen, and they anticipated it.
Yeah.
Strong play, strong performance.
Alright, and turns into a bit of a back and forth in terms of momentum, if nothing else, but the bottom line is Medusa still fun, right?
That is
So,
very true.
yeah, keep coming
At the
back to
same
that
time,
and-
though, the Phantom Lancer is just behind her in terms of network.
Yeah.
This is very scary going forward. Because ideally you want to be an item ahead of the Phantom Lancer to be able to deal with him.
Radiant's bottom tower.
This skill helps. Kill him to Omnia helps. They're
Yeah.
not going to get a tower out of it, but they're likely going to force rotation and
Radiant's
potentially
bottom
win a team fight
tower
with
has
this.
fallen.
Yeah.
Well, they have a
Sonic Wave
sentry.
was
They
used
know the Queen of Pain has an Invis rune. This could be huge.
there. Oh,
They need the
no.
Rubik though for the
Don't
instant
do it.
disable.
Don't do it. Don't do it. He's doing it. Oh, they realize. Get
Why?
something out.
Why?
Oh, why?
They needed the Rubik.
Undying just presses the ultimate. And it's like, hey, let's go, guys. But the telegraph, that Iceberg just stepping back out of detection range, gets the link out.
Once again, by the way, this comes down to the vision. They had the wards planted in at the entrance of the Dire jungle, knowing waiting for those rotations, and the sentry there's of course as well. So they saw the Invis rune, and these wards are just so smart because they're setting up for a tier 2 fight or push. So they need to know when the rotations are coming and where they're coming from. So these are just really smart wards, and that's just not good positioning. Not good
Who's
positioning.
he still doing there? What? I was so confused. Didn't even have him on my radar.
You can see me shaking my head. It's
Yeah.
not good positioning. No, it's just not.
Sure, he'll get an earful from Kips after this game.
He can get an earful from me as well if he keeps doing that. Smoke up from the Phantom Lancer. Looks like they're going to set up for Roche, committing the wards already.
Yeah.
Not sure how I feel about this.
It's not the fastest here with Phantom Lance.
Exactly.
Even though it gets easier because the illusions don't die, so you have infinite tanking potential. Don't even need the shackles here, it's just a waste of mana at this point.
Dire are scanning.
I mean, they're still going to get this, likely. But
Yeah.
Roshan has
There's
fallen
coming
to
in
the
Medusa
dark
with the
tower.
ultimate ready to go. Same for Blizzy, but got a little bit too late. Gambit in a good position to get out, but it is the Bane who tanks the blink stun from the DK. They want more. Can they get more? Omni-Knight with repel TB. It's not the target.
they cut their losses. Only lose
Yeah.
the Bane. I really like this. They don't even look back. They know, alright, Bane is dead. Just abandon him.
Yeah.
Just go and just fall back. Maybe even split push. And that's literally what the Shadow Shaman does. This is, this is what sort of like sets pro players apart from pop players. The immediate instinct to know, alright, instead of like just falling back, I can just also split push this lane. Even though he's just a Shadow Shaman.
Yeah.
Right?
You say just a Shadow Shaman, but yeah,
Well,
but
yeah.
needs a shock. Is
Mid
pretty
lane,
good.
by the way, Rubik is getting hunted down.
Oh,
Yet
again.
again.
Just the strength of Phantom Lancer and these kind of things. I mean, it's already super fun. Does have the boots of travel from mobility, magic, the Manta style on top of the Fusel Blade, so plenty of illusions to work with. It's also level 17. The only hero that's higher is Medusa.
Phantom Lancer feels very confident right now with the Mental Style. It does feel like nobody can really kill him unless they really commit like a ton of spells, and he would have to overstep a little bit as well.
Is under attack.
So that's why he's like playing really aggressively, almost scouting for his team as well.
Yeah.
He kind of has to.
Point where that becomes really true is though is once he finishes up that heart. So then it gets to the point where Medusa's not quite up to snuff just yet. But it looks like she should be, right? I mean, you have going towards that the butterfly, which will help out significantly. But I'm not sure. How do you like the butterfly over the Skadi in this game?
I think it's okay. I think in this game they need the damage first. And ideally you always... Well, that is huge. That's part of the butterfly.
Yeah.
That's the evasion, talisman of evasion. That's actually really huge. I think it's okay, just because you're gonna have the DK and the Brewmaster in front of you anyway. So ideally you can just hit. The Skadi is a survival item, first and foremost.
Top tower is under
and
attack.
I do think she still needs it in order to really fight. But if they are forced to fight, I would rather have, in this situation, have the butterfly than the Skadi at this moment.
In both items kind of help you with the kiting aspect as well. Butterfly with the extra movement speed. Skadi would be doing that with the slows on some of these heroes, even through things like this.
It's almost impossible though to kite around a Phantom Lancer. Phantom Rush is just so strong. Phantom Rush and of course the Diffusal Blade makes it
mostly the sports like Bane, Shadow Shaman, and Omni Knight. You have the strength of Phantom Lancer on that, and obviously you blink on a Queen of Pain. You're never really going to be able to counterplay that with slows.
Phantom Lancer TP is back. He has the one to respond to the DK. DK is actually pretty strong right now. It's very difficult for anybody else to really respond to him.
Yep.
Queen Pain can't really do that. And I believe now that they see the DK, they immediately rotate to the top lane. They like, all right, if somebody's still here, we need to fight this.
Yep. Next though, Shadow Shaman comes in with Nuke down on the Brewmaster. So once again, no ultimate punch. Trying to TP out of 4 stuff. Actually making sure it doesn't get hit by the Sonic Wave. So hey. Good on them, but the fight still rages. Dragonon actually making a TP rotation. Not sure about this one. They've already lost one of the big team fighters. Lift up on Rubik, but there it is. The Queen of Pain dispatching that very easily. Now, even the Shackles, the silence on Medusa, way too far forward.
That is likely Rax, because Medusa is dead for 70 seconds. This could almost even be, not necessarily a game, but maybe 2 sets of Rax even.
Yeah.
The one saving grace here is that they don't have the wards. All the DK with the BKB going in. Yeah, he's trying to delay it. He knows he can't really prevent them, but he's trying to delay it. That's a pretty good play from him. This probably means it's only 1 set of Rax.
Yeah. I know, man. Medusa, that's the highest farmed hero on the Radiant side. Still down for 40 seconds at this point. If there was no buy, they couldn't figure, alright, it probably doesn't have it. Especially if they saw the Talisman of Evasion on the courier that they killed. Ruby coming through. Repel stolen. Okay, that works.
It's actually a nice steal though for the Medusa going forward into the next fight. Yeah. Also for the DK who just uses BKB.
Only matters if he survives though. He uses himself up into the air after the Undying has already fallen. Nice little chain control on the Queen of Pain, but Iceberg should always still be able to get the blink out if he wants to, but he just wants to trigger the Aegis. Continue to fight by enough time for Steam to keep wailing away at his Rags, but now Phantom Lancer still not helping out. Iceberg, there we go, there's the blink finally. Another bit of help from the Omni Knight, and just after that they call it quits immediately and say, hey, we don't care about these main tracks, you can have those.
This was really, really good for the dark side for Gambit. Vega, they need to play a little bit more composed. I think I did like the idea of like trying to go for a kill top lane because they saw the Phantom Lancer, right? But they went in very split. They went in without the DK. Like they went in with the Brewmaster first. He dies, then the DK comes in, and then he can't really do anything. Then the Rubik dies because he's also very isolated. Yeah. They need to play more as a team. I mean, obviously they try to play as a team, but they need to wait for the rest of the team as well. Yeah. In order to do that. I do like the Medusa being part of that fight though, because she is a lot of she does deal a lot of damage. Yeah. But it was just again way too late at that stage because they had already lost the Brewmaster. And I think this is pretty much the story of the game, really. Them shutting down the Brewmaster, who is supposed to be that mid-game sort of controlling factor in these team fights, right? But what, twice now they've been able to shut him down without him using actually his ultimate. And that is really huge. And this is a huge, this is huge props to the Queen of Pain and the Shadow Shaman, both of which have been able to control him to this extent.
Now it's what seems like the 50th time that Iceberg got himself a DD rune, on top of haste rune even, so...
Iceberg has smiled upon his...
Yeah, Ice Frog smiled upon Iceberg.
That's what I was getting at. That was what
Radiant's
I was
top
getting at.
shrine is under attack.
Phantom Lancer now does have the heart. He's building towards the MKB next for the do so. But right now, Phantom Lancer is really difficult to deal with. Before,
Radiant's
again,
bottom shrine
this is
is
pretty much
under
what I called out, like, the 30-minute mark, where you have the heart on the Phantom Lancer. It's really going to be difficult to clear those illusions, despite having the Brewmaster and the spell ability on the Brewlings.
Yep. Well, Phantom Lancer, as long as he fights with his team, he should be pretty much unkillable at this point.
Has fallen.
Outside of some crazy shenanigans happening. Looks like though, Gambit won't play it safe. Just see what they can see, get pickoffs by all means. Like this, dying not nearly as tanky as he used to be back in the laning stage. And outside of that, just set up for more kills and set up for the next Roshan. And it might respawn in 45 seconds as well.
I really love this movement from Gambit now.
Radiant's bottom
This Phantom Lance has
tower
been playing
is
so well
under
as well.
attack.
Like, he knows how to play the map. He pushes out the bottom wave and immediately TP's top as soon as he's out of vision.
Blink Hex. Still finding the Dragon Knight here despite the repel. Just a little bit too late down to the field script. They need to roll right click down to make it work. Blizzy this time, at the very least, with the Brewmaster ultimate trying to create some chaos, but DK is still already fallen. Iceberg really leveraging that sonic wave to great effect in this instance. So Zero's just taken down immediately, and that might mean Vega creeps even, or at least the buyback, that is, already forced out. But another Brewmaster ultimate that did literally nothing.
Also, the DK popped his ultimate. I don't even think they can fight this. I think this is going to be game. I feel like Vega should have just cut their losses and accept that the DK is going to die there, but he has buyback, so they can always take the fight with the ultimate. The Dire already invested the Fiend Script into that kill. That is a huge ability in this team fight. If they just cut their losses and run away, they can fight. They can fight from the high ground with the Dusa and just prepare for a better fight. But this way, they're forced to pop both abilities or both ultimates. Can't hold this.
No. Tombstone's going to be taken care of immediately, despite the heals coming through. So 3,200 extra gold. Not that it really matters here at this point. They're holding on by a thread. Medusa completely out of mana. Can't even afford to go back into the fountain to recharge. Now hexed up. Guardian Angel makes sure Omnight survives as he's taking on front line for a time. Being Pudge. First one to fall.
That's game.
And that is.
Again, this is I don't want to take anything away from Gambit, right? I think they've definitely played really well. Again, I cannot highlight enough how strong these supports have been, how strong the Queen of Pain has been as well at dominating and controlling this game. But I think that Vega has had a couple of sort of not necessarily questionable decisions, but just coordination issues. Obviously, this is still a roster that's still finding their rhythm, right? They're trying out two new players, so it's somewhat to be expected. But at the same time, I feel like some of those calls that they made could have been, in hindsight, I think if they had taken maybe a bit more time to make those decisions, they probably would have decided otherwise.
Yeah. Well, very unfortunate here for this squad, and especially this brand as well. Like they've had high hopes here with the old roster, but as you said, new roster is always going to have a rocky start, right? There's no such thing as a dream team just coming out of nowhere. So we'll see whether they can change things up, whether they can come into the new year swinging here after they figured out these issues and figured out the strats, figured out like where their place is in their team and what kind of strategies they actually have available to them on the back of that. But for this tournament, not going to get another chance. Gambit knocked them out 2-0.
Honestly, if you're, I'm not sure, for anybody following CS, no, Gambit is also a really cool brand, honestly, and I'm really happy to see that Gambit and Dota finally sort of, not necessarily finally. Obviously, we don't know how well the squad is really going to do at the end of the day, but this looks very promising. I really thought this looked really promising. They were really strong. I thought individually they definitely showed a lot of skill. I don't think there's any denying that Iceberg is still a fantastic player, in the right environment. But then also, like, it really meshed well. Obviously, some of these players have played for years. Like, Cheshire Cat, Bignum, they've known each other for years.
Cat, he's been there forever. He's been there when I started, like, almost 4 years ago now. And yeah, he's been a staple of the scene. And it's great to see these kind of teams still having what it takes, right? They still are freaking talented, and they're still able to bring that to the table. And
I cannot stress this enough, but it's a single limb qualifier. Anything can happen, really, right? We saw at the ESL One Hamburg Major the kind of teams that qualify. Not necessarily the bad teams, but the teams that you didn't necessarily have on your radar, but just because of the bracket, and because they just showed that they can show up when it mattered. You know, we had Keen Gaming, Happy Feet qualifier initially, and Navi also looked kind of vulnerable today. You know, dropping that second game against Whites.
Yeah.
What happens if like a team like Gambit now pushes them to the edge?
Yeah. I mean, we talked a lot about the second game with like the Broodmother just having that big of impact, and perhaps the last pick not really respecting that enough here. Just with no stunts against Broodmother, it's just no real easy way of dealing with that. But yeah, you're absolutely right, though. Right, these kind of things are something that you can afford less and less of going further into the tournament. Looking at the bracket here, Navi's next matchup will be Team Spirit. So that is not the worst team by any means. They beat out Effect 2-0 as well.
Team Spirit look very strong lately.
Yeah.
You know, they've also made roster changes along the way. You know, Team Spirit also been trying to find their form for effectively like over a year now and find a roster that works for them. They look very strong. Like I think Team Spirit and Gambit are two contenders to like sort of like topple Navi in this bracket.
Yeah. Especially Team Spirit, you're captained by FNG, one of the best captains coming out of the CIS regions.
And there's also that, you know, that little bit of a revenge factor.
Yeah.
Him getting booted from Navi.
Yeah.
You never know.
I mean, what player hasn't been booted from Navi or Empire at this point? Like, it's been so many shuffles over the years, especially with these players who've been in the scene for a long time. But yeah, it's going to be one of the matchups tomorrow. Team Empire versus Green Squad, I believe, might still be going on. I'm not entirely sure about that. At the very least, we don't have a result reported here. But I do assume that Team Empire is going to take that, which would be then the matchup for Gambit Esports.
Right.
Right.
I believe this is it for us today.
It is indeed. If you guys want more Dota, there's still EU going on, one more series there. That is happening over on twitch.tv ESL_join Dota Red with Gareth and Lacoste, I believe. Then later tonight we'll have some NA Dota for you.
And lvt for NA.
Yeah.
We're going to have Complexity, Leviathan. You know, there's a couple of teams there worth following. VGJ Thunder, I believe, as well. Immortals, of course, the Koreans.
Yeah.
So, lots of good Dota, I mean, this week, you know.
Absolutely.
We're still here for another 2 days. So I'm really looking forward to all of this.
Yeah.
Can't really predict who's going to take it. Honestly, I could name 3 teams per region right now that I think could take it, just based on the performance alone.
That's the best kind of qualifiers, where you have no idea what's going on. So, especially for an event like Genting. It's the only minor with $400,000 in terms of prize pool, so it's even slightly more worth, not just in terms of money, but consequently also in terms of qualifying points, which the later the season goes, the more important these are going to be.
I believe it's also the first minor with actually 16 teams.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the huge part. As much fun as, you know, the other minors thus far have been, I do think that a 16-team event, no matter the format, even if it's a bit of a, you know, compromising format, like you need to compromise with the format if you have 16 teams and only like 3 days of LAN or something. Yeah. But even with a slow, quote-unquote, inferior format, I still think that a 16-team event is a little bit more enjoyable to watch, just because you get to that clash of like these big teams. Yeah. If I look past on other events, I just always think to myself, well, God damn it, if only Team X had been here. Yeah. What would have been? What would this tournament have been like if Team X had been here? Yeah. And this time around, I do think we're going to see pretty much one of the most competitive tournaments of the season thus far. You know, outside of the major, of course. Yeah. So
that's what I love about the state of the scene right now. There's so many good teams. Like there's such a broad range of talent, and Dota is in a place right now where it's far from clear cut. Everything can work. There's very few heroes that are completely unviable right now. So it's really going to come down to the teams to develop their own strategies, develop their own playstyles, and then see how they clash against each other, especially cross-region. And 16 teams, there's just way more opportunity for a bigger variety of these kind of playstyles, and new ideas is also coming through. So yeah, that's a quick preview here to the actual main event for ESL One Genting. Still, as I said, we still have 2 days of qualifiers left to figure out who is going to join the invited teams there. For us now, we are done for the day again. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. See you tomorrow. We're going to be back for SEA, I believe. Right?
I think so.
Yes.
Let's just call it SEA for now.
SEA, 7 a.m. most likely. Right.
Sounds like us.
On all these channels. Yeah. See you guys soon.